Amazing. All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday evening. As you can see, I'm Sarahlynn. I'm the owner of Bettering Youth, and I have Ethan here to join me. We're going to be chatting to you today about our Maths Academy course for students who are in year 6 and year 8. So I'm going to start by asking Ethan just to introduce himself and to give us a little bit more information about his teaching experience as a maths teacher.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ethan. I've been tutoring for just over a year now, so I'm like a baby tutor. But before then, I was teaching maths in the classroom in Vietnam. So I did that for 2 years, year and a half, something like that. COVID makes it complicated. It's hard to remember. And then before that, I was teaching English as a foreign language. With varying degrees of success. I'm a much better maths teacher than I am an English teacher. So yes, I've got a few years teaching experience in various different guises, but I'm relatively new to maths tutoring, and I am very much enjoying it so far. It is much better to have small classes where you can put more effort in, really get to know your students. That's what I'm loving about it most at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. The world from teaching versus tutoring is there's so many overlaps that make it fantastic, but it also means that we have the ability to come up with a phenomenal course like this that's so unique. So tell me more about the course that you want to create.
So I've been interested in doing something like this for a long time, basically since I got into tutoring. I was like, I can basically teach how I want now. No one's making me do anything. So there is so much overlap between sports and maths, like so much, even more things I could have put in this course that I couldn't do. But yes, there's so much overlap between sport and maths, and it makes it so relatable. And for the age that we're aiming at, grade or year 6 to year 8, we're in England, so I'll say year. It's when students really need to get that handle on how numbers work. And that's what we're aiming with this course. Using percentages, decimals, and fractions is really difficult for students, and they find it really hard to get their heads around it because it's just conceptually difficult. And sports is, I feel like, one of the perfect ways to introduce that to our students and make sure they get that locked into their mind so they can use it later on for when they have to basically have those skills nailed in for GCSEs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm a big sports person. I don't know if any of the community has seen some of our posts lately talking about either the Toronto Maple Leafs or about the Rugby Open or anything like that. So I'm huge into sports. I also teach math, so I can definitely see the overlap. But
do you want to join our class? We've got spaces.
I'm definitely going to take this week. I'm not going to lie. I'm very excited for this class. But for some of our parents who are just kind of like, yeah, I can see there's a vague overlap. Can we maybe break down a little bit more for them? Like, what kinds of things are you going to be teaching that will show the use of fractions, decimals, and percent, and in the sports aspect?
For sure. So I think the way I've decided to do it to make it as most interesting as possible is they're going to be running their own sports teams. So kids who are interested in different sports can choose different sports. So that's great for them, right? Because some kids don't like football and all that kind of stuff, right? So that we can do it like that. But we're going to be using fractions, decimals, and percentages to analyze different players' performances. So, for example, if they score a certain amount of penalties or their pass accuracy is a certain amount, all of those values can be represented in either fractions, decimals, or percentages. And that's how basically we're going to teach them. We're going to use those things that happen in sports, all of these various things. How much does a player play? How much time do they spend on the ball? Their passing accuracy, as I said before. And we're going to use that to analyze the players that we want to get in our team and see which players are going to be best. And so then they can select their players that way. And then also analyzing the players' performances as the games go on. So giving them different scenarios where they're testing those fractions, decimals, and percentage skills. So that's going to be the first 2 weeks of the course.
Perfect. And I would imagine that as students start to get a little bit more understanding about the math side, they'll start to gain a little bit more independence in the club as well. But how can we make sure that everyone's A, on task, and B, there is an element of math in that lesson and it's not just a bit of a little chin wag?
Yeah, for sure. I guess so. Yeah, the aim, as you said, is that we're going to give the students more freedom as it goes on to be running their own teams. It's going to be quite structured at the start, and then it's going to move on to less structured stuff, just so the kids are able to find their own ways around things and learn those other soft skills of like independent learning and all that stuff. That is very, very important. But of course, we want to keep them on course. So we're going to have at the end of each lesson, we're going to have a game against each other, all of these teams, where all of the questions will be the same for this part. And the students will compete each other as their teams to in a game where if they finish top, they will get a certain amount of points. And if they finish second, they'll get another amount of points. And then we're going to make a little league table. So obviously we can track their performance and how well they're doing compared to everyone else. And we are going to have team talks as the session goes on. So very, very, I don't know, sports related. So we can see how they're doing on the different skills and analyze, you know, if they're actually doing their work or if they're just talking about who's better, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for those kinds of conversations, but I think what our aim is can you back it up with the facts? Can you show us the math that proves who's better? So it would be comparing decimals, it's comparing fractions, it's comparing and using all of these mathematical skills to back up their argument as to why their player is on top or why they should be on top.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So what I really love is that you said that we're going to track their work. I know for our one-to-one students, that's a really big key factor. So Bettering Youth Tutors, as you know, Ethan, we're really big on being able to track our students and be able to show the progress and to identify where those gaps are. So these little team talks that you're going to have with each of your students is going to enable you to do that. How is the parent going to have that kind of feedback?
So I think at the end of each session, we can send them the league tables on how well they're doing and their percentage score within the game. And then we can give, obviously, we're having the team talks with the student. So I think we could probably give each student a sentence or two after each session or after every 2 weeks if we're going over the same subject. I haven't quite finalized that part yet. But so a few comments on how they're doing on each subject, maybe every week or every 2 weeks, so that they can see how well the students are doing and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And so as a club, are we expecting homework or is this a in-session time only?
I think, what do you think, Sarahlynn? I haven't thought about it too much.
It's a really good question. It's one that I know that our parents are probably wondering. So I think as it's a club and our focus is to make sure that we're connecting real world maths to the real world, I would say watching the sports is probably a good form of homework because they're going to be watching it through a new lens now. They're going to be watching it through the lens of looking at players' stats and being able to compare them. So perhaps like maybe once at the halfway point, you can ask them to choose a player and to look at their statistics over the last couple of years and identify like what year was their best year, or there could be like a little bit of a player experience or like deep dive. But I think keeping it a little bit low key will allow the students to not lose out on the magic of what sport is to them either.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because it's that fine line between making it a club and making it fun and then giving the students knowledge. And also, you know, lots of students have quite a lot of on their plate at the minute. So we might not want to be adding too much extra on top of that already. That would be, so it's getting that balance. But yeah, I think your idea is very good. I'm going to steal it. I'm going to use that.
Perfect. And I mean, just like most of our tutoring sessions as well, we do everything in session. We don't add on additional work unless we're getting ready for a specific exam or test, because we shouldn't be adding more workload. We should be trying to lessen the workload because we're working as a team to kind of build that momentum forward. Perfect. So what are like the logistics then? Talk to me about how we can register, what day, what time.
Okay, so we can register. We're doing a trial on the 26th of October at 6 p.m. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Okay,
No,
very good.
it's good.
All right, very, very good. And then on the 9th of November is when our 6-week course starts. And on all of the socials, on the Bettering Youth YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, you can find a link to sign up for the course, I believe.
Absolutely.
And it is £10 a session.
Exactly that. So it's £10 per session for the trial. We have decided that if you're happy with the trial and you want to move forward with our course, which we know you will once you do the trial, if you want to save your trial price, then if you register by October 31st, you get to keep it. Otherwise, November 1st, it goes to the spooky price of £13 per hour. So make sure you get that spectacular deal and save yourself £3 per hour by just registering early. And that way we can understand who our team is going to be, and Ethan can make sure that he's sufficiently prepared to prepare for your specific child's needs as well.
Yeah, helps me out a lot.
Yeah, it does. It helps us out a ton. So what kind of final messages do we have? What's your big pitch to the parents in ensuring that they understand that this course is the one that's not going to just be chatting about sport, but is actually going to help improve grades and confidence in the classroom?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I think it's that confidence. I think it's the idea of taking something that a student is interested in and then using that to build their confidence in maybe a subject that they don't enjoy. But it's also, I think it's for two types of students, this course. Maybe a younger student who just really loves sports and really loves maths and like wants to challenge themselves, and it will be perfect for them. But also a student who maybe isn't quite enjoying as maths as we would like them. They're not as nerdy as I am, which is fine.
We can't all be that nerdy, Ethan.
We can't all be that nerdy, no. And sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Yes, students who are not quite enjoying as maths as much as we like, but also love sports, and it just gives them that, like, they're more interested in it, so they're more likely to try hard on a question and then get that confidence, which is like 90% of how people struggle with maths. I find, like, it's just that confidence of being able to answer things. So our main aim is just to use the fact that people love sports to get people confident in maths, and that's the aim of the game, I think, with this.
Yeah, I think that's our pitch. That's our elevator pitch. The main aim, boost confidence through the lens of something that they're really passionate about.
Yeah, I like that lens. I'll use that phrase next.
Perfect. Perfect.